to you about tonight is how to improve your health naturally by activating your genes. And let me just make a distinction before we go a step further. I truly mean activating. I don't mean supplementing. And it is an important distinction to make because we can supplement our bodies with A, B, or C nutrient or X, Y, and Z herb, or we can supplement our bodies with things that it may need that it doesn't have enough of. And that's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I do a lot of that with my patients and in my own life and for the health of my family. But what's really struck me about the Nrf1 and Nrf2 activation is that we're not simply supplementing, we're activating. What I'm talking about here is turning on each and every cell in your body so that it functions better on its own. And therefore, it is better equipped to deal with all the different things that it has to deal with. So I just want you to keep that in the background as we go through this information, that what we're talking about here is a whole other way of looking at health. It's a way of, how do I tell my body, how do I switch my cells on to function in the most healthy fashion? So with that, what are the biggest problems affecting our health? Okay, so I've realized, and I've worked with quite a few different conditions over the years. I have my two big, my biggies, my autism, my Lyme disease, but I've seen a lot of different things. And I'm realizing how much at the root of the problem are these specific things: oxidative stress and inflammation, toxicity, mitochondrial dysfunction, and poor gut health. Now, it may manifest in a number of different ways. We'll look at that in a minute. But really, at the root of most of it, we can see these four different things that are creating the problem. So let's look first at oxidative stress. So, if you cut an apple and leave it out, I have a now 5-year-old, so I've cut lots of apples and seen them go brown. But what we're seeing there is oxidation. If something rusts, what you're seeing is oxidation. That happens within our bodies too, creepy as that might feel. It does happen within our bodies. Free radicals are produced naturally in our bodies as a byproduct of our metabolism, right? So that's okay. We produce free radicals. That's a normal and natural state of being. And our bodies have a certain amount of equipment and a certain amount, hopefully, comes from our diet in order to counter that. The problem is, in today's day and age, with microwaves, with cell phones, with pollution, with all these different things that are just compounding the problem in our society, the level of oxidative stress that we experience has gone up profoundly. And oxidative stress, aka free radical damage, is at the end of the day what wears out your cells. And we could look at it purely from an anti-aging standpoint, like what is aging? Oxidative stress, wearing out our cells, wearing out our skin, wearing out our, our being. But these things now, we see young children with this oxidative stress they can't cope with. In chronic illness, there is high levels of oxidative stress. And so you can see here in the slide on the right-hand side, all the different manifestations that may occur. So in some ways, no matter what the diagnosis is, we have to look at what's going on in the cell, what's going on in the body, what are the underlying issues here. And so the diagnoses, if you will, are just various manifestations of the same problems. If we look at mitochondrial dysfunction, so the mitochondria are the little powerhouses of the cells that produce ATP. And ATP is our energy. It's kind of akin to saying, okay, money, we have money. Our money is dollars. In America and Australia, not the same dollars, but our currency is dollars. But dollars are our money. So ATP is our energy. And we want more energy so we feel energetic and active and, you know, empowered to do the things we want to do in our day. But it's deeper than that. The ATP is the fuel that drives every biochemical reaction in the body. So every process in the body depends on that ATP. So when we have mitochondrial dysfunction, again, it manifests in a lot of different ways. Could look like autism, could look like Alzheimer's, could look like fibromyalgia, could look like epilepsy. There are so many different manifestations, but mitochondrial dysfunction is at the root of so many different things. And then gut health. I mean, we could do, and in fact, I will do a whole webinar next month on gut health. It is widespread issues with the gut, with digestion, people with food reactivities. I'm seeing more histamine responses, mast cell activation syndrome, eczema, thyroid issues, autoimmune thyroid issues, joint pain, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, adrenal problems. So much comes down to the gut. So we have to be mindful of that too and work on gut health, because it really can balance so many things in the body. And, you know, in my work with autism and Lyme, there's a huge connection with the brain and the nervous system and neurological health. And I see constantly, day in, day out, the close connection between gut health and brain health. And one might think at face value or at first glance that those two things aren't really connected, but oh my gosh, I can tell you how closely they are. So fundamental to our health also is working on our gut and our digestive system. So let's go back to oxidative stress. So what are the solutions for oxidative stress? So the first thing is we can eat more vegetables and fruits and foods that contain antioxidants. And please, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying not to do that all day long. But what I need you to understand is that those foods are providing sort of external antioxidants. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. One antioxidant squelches one free radical. And so you need to eat a boatload of those foods, probably more than any of us could humanly do in one day, to really have a very significant impact. Now, like I said, I'm not suggesting you don't eat those things. Please do, because of the vitamins and minerals, and they do provide antioxidants, and that's important, but it's not everything. What I've realized is what we need is to turn on the cell's ability to produce its own antioxidants and upregulate its own systems for managing free radicals. And that's what Nrf2 activation does. So that's what we're talking about tonight. It turns on your body's production of catalase, glutathione, and SOD. And they're the things that we need to counter that toxic stress, to counter the oxidative stress, and to get our cells back in a healthy place. So there's a lot of research on this. Oregon State University, here's just a quote from an article that came from some of the research. When it finds a problem, Nrf2 essentially goes back to the cellular nucleus and rings the alarm bell, where it can turn on up to 200 genes that are responsible for cell repair, detoxification of carcinogens, protein and lipid metabolism, antioxidant protection, and other actions. In their report, the scientists call it a longevity assurance factor. Another one, and this actually comes from a scientific journal, says Nrf2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic, the most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine. I truly believe this is cutting edge, and I know that certain pharmaceutical companies are looking at this. I know that this, it's really, this is the future, I feel, of where medicine is going or should be going. We need to find ways to activate our own bodies to do their healing. So let's talk then about the Nrf2 activation. So the Pretender Nrf2 Synergizer is the product that I use for Nrf2 activation. It's the only supplement proven in a clinical study to reduce oxidative stress in humans by an average of 40% in 30 days. That's significant. I've never found anything that makes that kind of impact in that kind of time. So in an NIA-funded study, the National Institute on Aging, Protandim was the only natural product proven to extend lifespan. Nrf2 helps to regulate your body's survival genes. So yeah, it expands lifespan, but it also gives us a much better quality of life while we are here walking on the earth. So the Protandim Nrf2, it originally aired on ABC Primetime in 2005. They did an investigative report. And after that, the universities and institutions began self-funded research. It is a publicly traded company, and it switched from retail to direct sales in 2009. So it was sold retail, but there wasn't the education that's needed to have people understand what this is all about and how profound it really is. And it's just a booming kind of field, because this is really the hub of preventive medicine, but also cellular healing for people who are already in the flux of chronic illnesses. And there's lots of different research that's been done. It's independent research, Johns Hopkins University, Children's Hospital of Colorado, American Heart Association, so many different Vanderbilt universities, so many different institutions have done their own research on this. And there's actually 24 peer-reviewed studies on PubMed, and we'll see that in just a minute. So here's the study reported in the Multiple Sclerosis Journal. And I find this really interesting because I work with a lot of patients who have neurological issues. I work with a lot of patients who have demyelination. And I work with patients who, frankly, have been diagnosed with MS, even though that may not be 100% accurate diagnosis, and there may be other causative factors to that. But I thought this was really interesting. BG12, TBHQ, SFN, and Protandim are well-tolerated and strongly induce Nrf2-driven antioxidant enzyme production in oligodendrocytes, which are kinds of nerve cells that have to do with remyelination of the nerves, with Protandim showing the most potent induction. Nrf2 activators are able to protect oligodendrocytes against ROS-induced cytotoxicity. ROS, a reactive oxygen species. So that's just part of free radical damage. Cytotoxicity means cells being killed. Interestingly, Protandim, a dietary supplement consisting of herbal ingredients, was the most potent inducer and therefore may be the most suited as a therapeutic strategy. Importantly, Nrf2-mediated antioxidant enzyme expression in oligodendrocytes resulted in an enhanced oligodendrocyte survival during an oxidative attack. So to paraphrase, the Nrf2 activation through Protandim's Nrf2 synergizer or activator protected the nerve cells during that oxidative stress. So I've had people say to me before, well, okay, I know, the herbs in that product, I take them all. I take them all individually. So what's to be gained from taking a combination formula? Well, the herbs in the Nrf2 are ashwagandha, bacopa, green tea, silymarin, also known as milk thistle, and curcumin. They're all herbs that I love. They're all herbs I've used before. I've taken a lot of them before. I've given them to my patients. But here's the deal. There is a certain ratio and a certain way that the Protandim Nrf2, and we use Nrf2 and Nrf2 interchangeably, so you'll hear me saying both things. We get lazy and go, Nrf2. But I've seen the change when people have switched to the Protandim. And you'll see here that there's a certain synergy when those ingredients are combined together in a certain ratio. And the ratio, Protandim is a patented product, so the ratio is protected. Nobody else can copy that. But the 5-fold ingredients produce an 18-fold increase in the expression of the antioxidant gene. So you can see the control, and then the individual herbs. Milk thistle probably doing the best of the 5 of them individually. But then Protandim just knocks it out of the park, because when you put those things together, there is a synergy that comes with that. Here's a glutathione assay, and I love that. Everyone who knows me, if you've ever seen me as a patient, you know that I'm a huge fan of glutathione. And I have given glutathione as a supplement for years. So here's a PubMed peer-reviewed study. And it shows, if you look at that graph, you'll see, and the letters represent the herbs, right? Ashwagandha, bacopa, green tea, silymarin, and curcumin. And then CON on the very left is control. So you'll see this similar thing where if we're looking at how glutathione is impacted in the body, the synergy of those herbs together in these specific ratios gives such a more dramatic effect and a more dramatic benefit in the production of glutathione within the body. So we're supporting our body's ability to produce its own glutathione. We also talked about mitochondrial dysfunction, and mitochondrial dysfunction makes us tired, but it also makes us gain weight. It also gives us brain fog. I mean, mitochondrial dysfunction is so intricately involved in so many different health issues. And the Nrf2 synergizer or the Nrf2 synergizer is more about supporting the mitochondria. So what I love about this and the way I think of it, so just to run through the benefits first, it increases cellular energy, increases performance through energy production, enhances cellular health, improves sleep quality, promotes cellular repair, boosts mitochondrial production and their ability to network, and slows cellular aging by supporting chromosome integrity. So there's lots of different benefits to the Nrf2 synergizer. What I love is how they work together. So I think of it like the Nrf2 synergizer is busy taking out the trash. I mean, it's opening up detoxification pathways. It's boosting glutathione production. Nrf2 activation influences over 200 different genes, many of which are responsible for detoxification, which is huge in my patients because my patients need detoxification first and foremost. So the Nrf2 is busy taking out the trash. The Nrf2 provides the energy for the Nrf2 to take out the trash, right? So the Nrf2 supports what the Nrf2 is doing because the work of the Nrf2 also takes energy. Anything in our cells take energy. Any kind of biochemical process takes energy. And so they work really nicely together. Talk about synergism. Because one provides the fuel for the other. Now, I know people who've taken just the Nrf2 activator, and they love it because it gives them more energy, they function better, their brain is clearer, all of those things. But I really like the way they work together. We also talked about gut health, and we talked about the impact that the gut can have, not only on the brain, on the skin. I mean, so many issues, I believe, come down, like skin issues, come down to what's happening in the digestive system. So many brain issues are dependent on what happens in the digestive system. I have worked with so many people that have candida. Some of these little kiddos I work with, I had a couple of kiddos in my office this afternoon, and I swear to God, I just love those little guys. But the impact when we start addressing candida, when we start addressing Clostridia and Klebsiella and some of these bugs that are getting out of control in the gut, the impact on their cognition, on their behavior, they become different children. And it's one of the things I do with them early in treatment, because if we don't clear up their gut, never mind the heavy metals, never mind all the other stuff, it starts with the gut, and it starts with gut health. And I recognize that, especially in my world, so some of you who are listening are going to be, in the Lyme kind of context. I prescribe antibiotics too. I do, and I know that impacts the gut. And sometimes it's worth it. But we have to do what we can to protect along the way. And if we can really work on healing the gut, and especially like preventing or healing leaky gut, then we stop so much immune activity in the body. And so much inflammation comes from that immune activity. So it's a really core piece of what we do. So the probio, I like, it provides 6 billion CFUs of healthy bacteria. And the difference with it is it's actually got a coating to make sure that the healthy flora, the CFUs of healthy bacteria, make it to the large intestine. So it resists the stomach acid and helps it to travel and infuse in the large intestine where it's really needed. And that's really fairly unique. It also has beta-glucan, so it helps the immune system. And again, the gut is a whole other topic, and I will take that on in another whole webinar because it's so crucial. But our digestive tracts have an immune system of its own. It has a nervous system of its own. And I think we're just now realizing just how profound and significant that is. So to have a survival rate, to have an activation rate of 60% is conservative. Other studies have shown up to 85% of the live organisms that actually get to the large intestine. That's something that's really important too. So we want to work on a cellular level, but we also want to be holistic, and gut health is such a central part. So we must look at that as well. So how do we do this, like in practicality? One of the things I love is something called a vitality stack. And what it provides is the protandem Nrf1, Nrf2, the probio, and an omega-3 fatty acid that has vitamin D in it. I don't want to go too far into the omega-3s just for time sensitivity, but I will say this. We have way too many omega-6s. They come from our diet, and we're out of balance of omegas. And so I would encourage any of you, if you're taking an omega supplement that has 3, 6, 9, please consider switching to one that's just omega-3, because that is also the root of cellular detox. We need those omega-3s, and we need to get them back into balance. So my recommendation would be to not supplement with 6s or 9s. We get enough of those in our diet. We need to tip these omega-3s. So what I take personally is a vitality stack, because by the time I do the Nrf1, Nrf2, omega-3s, probiotics, I'm good. They come in little daily sachets. They come in little packets. I take it in the morning. If I'm running late or if I'm in a hurry, I just pop it in my purse. I take it with lunch. If I'm traveling, I just take however many little packets I need for the days I'm going to be gone. For me, that's the most convenient. I take that. My husband takes that. My daughter takes it. She takes only half the dose of the Nrf1 and 2 because of her size, but she takes all the omegas and all the probiotics. And that, to me, is just the most comprehensive and best way to go. There's also Activated Essentials that has the probio, the Nrf1 and 2. But I want to just say, if you're in a place where you can just start with one thing, the Nrf2 is like $41. And that's typically a month's supply. That provides 30 caplets. They can be cut up for younger children and ground up and mixed into almond butter or mixed into a smoothie. But $41, which is to me very, very reasonable for what it provides. Most people only need one a day, so that's a 30-day supply. And if one needs a starting point, that is the starting point. My preference is to do the Nrf1 and 2 in combination because I feel like they work so beautifully together. But the Nrf2 is the starting point. And I will say, just by a little word of warning, and this doesn't happen for everyone, so I don't want to be scary about it, but Nrf2 does switch on your detox pathways. So I have seen some people, not everybody, some people go through a little detox reaction. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you know you're sensitive and you want to start on this path, then maybe just start with half a tablet, see how you do with that, and then go up to the full dose. I've also had some of my chronically unwell patients who do better with 1 twice a day. I wouldn't launch that right out of the gate if you do have a chronic illness that you're dealing with, because it just may be too much. But the 1 twice a day can be helpful for the first month or so, just to get that kind of loading dose, that activation really firing. And then typically 1 a day is the necessary ongoing dose. The other thing that I have fallen in love with, and this is actually, if I must say, this is my favorite, is Axio. Axio is a drink mix. It's a powder, and you just put it in water, or you could really mix it in a smoothie or whatever you like, but to me it tastes good, so I just put it in water, and that's my brain food. So they call it the executive drink because a lot of high-level executives take it to get through their day and have lots of energy. A lot of athletes take it too. So it does help physical energy in a very balanced kind of, I don't want to say gentle, it's effective, but it's not the highs and lows of coffee. It's not like, oh, I need my coffee. Oh, no, I'm crashing. Oh, I need another one. Oh, I'm crashing again. It's not that. It's balanced, sustained energy. When I'm going into the office and I know I've got a full day of patients, which I did today. Today was actually a two Axio day because I had a huge day with patients, and then I wanted to be clear and focused for you guys tonight to give you this information. So Axio is just amazing. It also has been really profound. The combination of Nrf2 and Axio in children with learning disabilities, in children on the autism spectrum, even in neurotypical children, just to help their brains to excel and to grow and develop in healthy ways. This combination is powerful. It comes either in decaffeinated or caffeinated forms. I personally do the decaf because I'm quite caffeine sensitive. I put most of the kids I work with on the decaf. Ironically, this took me a bit by surprise too. Ironically, some of the kids with ADHD do better on the caffeinated because their brains do well with stimulants. And I personally feel that some caffeine and a natural product like this is better for their brains than some of the stimulant medications. But you'll see on the right-hand side, and this just blows me away. It's so beautiful. On the right side of the slide, you'll see the first list that this child had written before Nrf2 and Axio. And then the second list is after Nrf2 and Axio. And we're not talking a year after either. We're talking short-term benefits that are, it's effective and it starts working right away. So you can see clearly there's a massive change in the handwriting of this child and just their ability to, express themselves and write in a controlled and